G'day guys, Trent here from Moon Tours with my all new Quantum. It's not mine, but we have been tasked with testing this all new updated version of AOR's Quantum. Now the Quantum has been around for at least 10 years. I know we had a client last year with a 2011 Quantum and still going strong after a lot of outback travel. We've had AOR vans, and in particular the Quantums, all over Australia, multiple year models and makes of them. Up in the Victorian high country where it's steep and a bit rocky and tight, up on Cape York through river crossings and mud and really tight tracks and washed out creeks and all the fun stuff up there. We've had them out in the WA deserts doing all the Beadell roads, badly corrugated, really rocky stuff, tight bush, just getting scratched down the van. We've pulled them over the desert multiple times. A lot of Quantums we've taken across the desert, even the bigger ones, the Matrixes and stuff, we've done all this with. So we've had a lot of experience with them. They are a tried, tested and proven product. You know, they are very good. But this new one might even be better. So I'm going to show it to you, show you what's new, and I'll let you know how it's gone. First things first, the AOR Quantum is not a caravan. Let's get that straight out of the box. And there's a couple of reasons why I say it's not a caravan. It is a legitimate off-road hybrid camper, trailer, van, whatever you want to call it. It's not a caravan. It's a legit off-road camper to me. There's a couple of ways you can tell that. One, the shape and design of it. Now you can see here the body is angled up. Now that gives you really good approach angles. It's also a compromise, but if you want real off-road ability, you've got to have some of these things. You lose a bit of space, but you gain a lot in the bush. The back, same deal. Big angled up area on the back for departure, so you can get real tight on these, in and out, without them touching the ground. Also, you'll note there's no step. The reason there's no step is because any real deal off-road camper is not going to have one, because it'll get ripped off pretty quickly. Another thing is the width. The width of the van when you're off-roading makes a massive, massive difference. You don't want a van that's wider than your car. Not too much wider anyway, because when you're going through the tight stuff, you're going to be rubbing trees against it, you know, going into washouts, it's going to be rubbing on walls almost. So you want a van that's narrow, and this is that. It's narrow, it tracks behind the car really, really well, especially through the tight and ruddy stuff. It's got a DO35 hitch on it and really good suspension. So that to me makes it, and a full length chassis. All those features make it a legitimate off-road van for the real tough stuff that we do. So what's new? It looks the same, and it's kind of the same, but different. And there's some very new critical design features on this van that are an improvement. So I'll go through them. First of all, the whole shell and body, all the panels, the construction of those has been changed to make them lighter, stronger, with more flex. And you want that flex in a van like this because it's twisting and rolling all the time. Obviously weight's always important. So we've been testing that to make sure that this new construction, still fiberglass, but it's just the way the panels are made with the extra aluminium extrusion that drops into the framework of the body and all that stuff. We want to make sure that they're going to be able to withstand the punishment that you're going to put them through. So the wall construction is different. The hatches and the nose cone, hatches on the back. Now they all used to be a fiberglass panel similar to the wall, but they're now all aluminium. So we're testing all those to make sure there's no weak spots, that they're not going to fatigue. That if we load up the nose cone with heavy objects, we're not going to be starting to, you know, crack welds or anything like that. So that saves a lot of weight and it's very, very strong. Now, very important thing. The whole coating on this thing now, top and the Raptor coating on the bottom, is all vinyl wrap. Now previously that's all paint. The great thing about vinyl wrap is if it gets chipped up or scratched or whatever, or even, this is a good example, the whole van has been held up well with the wrap. And I'll show you a bit more about that because that's a really important feature. I think the apprentice or someone must have done the door because it's kind of peeling off on the door, but nowhere else on the van. But see, it's an easy fix. It's an easy fix. You just peel that off, put a new bit of wrap on there, done. So we're testing the wrap. We're testing the bottom and top bits of the wrap to see how it withstands, particularly brushing against trees and high-speed rocky dirt throwing rocks up onto it. Now inside, there's a couple of things that are new on the inside. First of all, the seats are new. It's a new material on the seats, so we've been testing that out to make sure it's going to withstand, you know, the punishment of off-road driving. So the seats are new. Now the toilet and shower, the shower's the same I think, but the toilet is new. So we can both fit in here. So it's a marine macerator toilet and it's got 4 buttons: half flush, full flush, fill with water and drain only. I really like the toilet. It's good. I like the fact that you can drain it only. That's great for blokes, so you don't have to waste water. You can still go in the night or whatever and then just drain it. So the toilet's new. We've been testing that out. What else is new inside? Hey?
Shower.
Huh?
Shower.
Oh, the shower. Well, I don't think the shower's not new, I don't think. But the shower is good. I feel like I'm... Oh, the drawers. All right, the drawers. Now you got drawers here, you got drawers there, and you got drawers outside. This is one of the biggest updates that they've done. The drawers are all new design. Now previously they would make a timber frame on here and over here, and then the drawers would get mounted in the frame. Now all the drawers, the whole lot, is aluminium, and they're all soft close touch drawers, and they also a little bit hard to get out, which is good because if you, and you will, forget to put these latches in for a short period of time, it's not going to be an issue for you. And we've tested that and I'll show you. So the drawers, and that is something, the vinyl wrap and the drawers, something I really wanted to test hard, because they're the things that kind of fail and can be very annoying. You know, painting a van is difficult and cheap, and I mean not cheap, it's expensive. Drawers, I mean you just can't have broken drawers. So the drawers, the new toilet, the seats, the vinyl wrap, the wall construction, and something else. Anyway, the nose cone and the hatches, all the aluminium stuff. So that's what's new. When you go and pick up your new van, they'll give you a handover. It's very detailed and they give you a video, so that helps you. This is not a handover video, I'm just showing you what we've done on the new van. When you do get your new van, there are a few things they say. First, you want to be using the tie down points on the side of the bed to secure all your luggage and things that you put on the bed. For example, you know, I've been carrying this pot on the bed for 13,000 kilometers. And I've got my computer bag, and sometimes you end up with chairs on there or whatever. So they say use the tie down points. Take the fan off the wall, put it on the bed so it doesn't bounce off and get damaged. Really rough stuff, really badly corrugated, you know, put the table away. That store's under here. And you don't really want to leave things rubbing on the chairs. And most importantly, latch the drawers for travel, because obviously you don't want them to come out and then bounce and fall on the ground. All right, so how did we test the van? Well, first of all, we did none of that. I haven't tied one thing on the bed. I left the drawers open for the most part of my trips. I've stacked stuff on the seats. I've left the table up, and I've never taken the fan off. And what did we do? Where did we go? Well, we've had the van for almost 2 months now. It's brand new, not even finished, mind you. There's a couple of things that aren't finished. Took it from the factory, Caloundra, drove it to Ceduna, jumped on the Beadell roads. We went across a goat trail across the Nullarbor, 600 k's of limestone, rocky, hard stuff, up the Connie and Beadell, David Carnegie Road, Gunbarrel Highway. I mean, those roads shake stuff to bits. They're tough tracks, tight, overgrown. So we've got trees just rubbing down it for hundreds of k's. We've got bad corrugations, we've got dips and bumps and all sorts of stuff happening on those roads. Really, really tough stuff, those particular tracks. And then from sort of Port Headland, I whipped across to Alice Springs on the Gary Junction Road. Now that has to be the worst corrugated road I've driven on since I was a young man, a kid really. And it's not how bad they were, but the duration. It's 16 or 1800 k's from Port Headland to Alice, and I reckon 1500 of that would have been bad corrugations. Possibly not the worst, but it's the length of them, and they're just unrelenting. And that was a real test, especially for leaving things undone like the drawers. Leaving the drawers undone, leaving things on the seats across all these roads, just getting rubbed on the vinyl and all that sort of stuff, getting the trees smashing on this, and also the high-speed dirt, getting the rocks flung up. I don't run a rock stomper, as you can see, a stone stomper. They do come with this guard, which does help, but on the 70 particularly, it flings rocks high, this thing. So this is something I really wanted to test. And after the Gary Junction Road, we got to Mount Dare, we come across the desert, then we doubled back down the Birdsville track to Maree, Oodnadatta out of Mount Dare and back across the desert, and we're here now on our last day in the desert. So it's had a lot of high-speed dirt, which is really what's going to punish the front of it. Now, this vinyl Raptor coating has withstood the punishment better, in my opinion and my experience, than the paint. And the great thing is, if you do completely wreck it, well, it's just a vinyl wrap. You can put more on, take it off. So that's been well tested and it's gone really well. We have done things inadvertently, like left the compression latches off the door. That's a thing that you really should do. I'm sure that's in the handover. Don't just shut the door and start driving down dusty roads. You use these compression latches to make them dust proof, which is something we also tested. But anyway, I've got that nailed. You really don't get any dust in your vans. And as a matter of fact, even if you forget these and drive 50, 100 k's down the road, we didn't get any dust in, even with those unlocked. So I've left the table there for thousands of k's. I've had it rubbing on here. You can see there's a little white mark from where the table rubs, but this is over thousands of kilometers I've done this. That just comes off. I had it there too. I've had chairs and swags and stuff on these rubbing on them, no problem at all. So we really give them a test. The drawers, okay, so the drawers, testing the drawers was something I really wanted to do. So in the past, and all van manufacturers kind of have this issue, if you don't latch the drawers, they come out and they fall on the ground, they break. So I thought, all right, well, we won't do any of these things that are imperative, and we'll just see how long, how far they'll go before they fail. Now, I was really surprised to unlatch the drawers and then open the van some really rough days and look and see them all shut. And I thought, oh, that's amazing, they don't even open. So I thought, well, I'm going to get them to open. So I put a GoPro in here and we're on the Gary Junction Road at Curraween Gorge. We thought we'll come out of that gorge area there with all the drawers undone. I'll load them up with heaps of weight, heaps of liquid, make them heavy, and I'll drive. I'll do things that you won't do. I'll hit bumps hard. I'll go up on off the road, make it bounce, and do all these things to see if I can get these drawers to open. Anyway, they didn't open that much, but I did get them to open. Particularly when you hit the brakes, it turns out. That does give them enough force to open. But they never fell out. When I took off again, they shut. I've got all that on video. So I thought, oh, that's incredible that they were opening, closing, and didn't break and all that sort of stuff. So I left them open for another 1,000 k's across the Carnegie Junction Road to Alice, and I didn't really have any issues with them. And I thought, well, given the coast to coast, the Beadell Roads trip and the Carnegie Junction Road, they've probably had enough now. I've punished them enough and they haven't failed. So you can rest assured that if you forget occasionally, it's not going to be the end of the world. Anyway, I did forget over the desert, and the desert's particularly bumpy. You're kind of going up and down and bouncing and all this. And I left my heaviest drawer open, and midway through the second trip, I opened the door and I found it on the ground. Because obviously there's weight in it, and in the desert it's bouncing up and down. So I ended up bending the rail there. It was on the ground. I thought, oh, buggered it. But I was able to slide it back in, and it still works and it still locks. It's no fault of the drawer, it's just over punishing it really. But I think from a test point of view, these drawers are absolutely incredible and withstood so much abuse. So I'm really, really happy with the drawers, the seats. The table obviously never gave me any problem. The fan never gave me any problem. So all those new things on the inside, super happy with those. So from here, I'm going to whip it back to Caloundra, and that would have completed essentially a full half lap of Australia in a couple of months using some of the toughest, roughest roads. Obviously I'm a fan, they're good quality vans, there's no doubt about it, but nothing's perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect car or van or camper trailer or whatever. So I'm going to tell you what's not perfect. These issues are not unique to AOR, by the way. These can be across the board with all manufacturers, but anyway, this is what's not perfect. The legs, this release gets really clogged up, particularly, I mean, it gets clogged up with dirt, but particularly if it's muddy. If it's muddy, this in here gets all clogged up, and trying to get them undone is, quite annoying. So that's across the board. This particular leg though, in the really tight rough stuff, you really want this leg folded backwards, because if you fold it forward here, there's a very good chance, if you're doing really ruddy stuff like we do in Cape York, which I haven't taken this to Cape York. Jeez, that'd be a good test. I should probably leave it with me for a couple of years, I suppose, and really take it up. Yeah, I'll talk to him about that. But anyway, on Cape York, I may rip that off, for example. So that really should fold back, but you can't because of the drain there and this guard. That's something that could possibly be easily rectified, okay? The awning, while we're here, the awning protrudes out, and this is not unique to AOR either. It hangs out about 100 mil from the van, and once you get your eye in and driving through tight stuff, that makes a big difference. So you've got to be very mindful of the awning hanging out there. Another thing is, because it protrudes out, and we've got some plugs and we've got gas vents and these sorts of things, they're external to the van, and it's probably difficult, but if you could make them flush, that'd be better. But if we're not going to make them flush with the wall, because trees brush against them, can rip them off, or you get into a bank, it hits a bank and rips the vent cover off, or a tree hits this. So what I would do is I would make a deflector bracket, like steel, whatever, deflector bracket here. So if trees hit it, they glance off, and same with the gas vent covers. Right. This leg here, is a bit of a pain because it's on the other side of the chassis there, And the reason it's on the other side of the chassis, because there's a panel here, so it can't be this side. Unfortunately, that makes it a little bit awkward. You've kind of got to sit in the dirt, especially if it gets jammed up. So that's just not ideal, I suppose. Right. These are the gas vent covers. You know, I would put a small deflector, and I know they can do this. It might be an option for you, but it's a bit of angled steel, just so if trees hit it, they just deflect off. Now, on my Sierra, I had a modification done before I picked it up, and it's one of the best things I reckon I did to it. And it's to make use of that. So on my Sierra, we put a cable here with a quick release clip, and now it becomes a table. I would be doing that on all of my hatches, at the front, these, everything. Because you know, you can get stuff out and put it on there and all that. At the moment, I've got to pull this box out, move things in there, and then, so that's not perfect. I would do that differently. Oh yeah, I need a good gear. Shut this down while I'm here. All right. These two things I think can be easily rectified. But first of all, the diesel heater exhaust, they give you a cover with it to put over the exhaust so dust doesn't go up in it. The one that I have is just a foam cover, and the rocks just chewed it up and spat it out, so I don't have the cover on it, which is kind of good because getting it off and on is quite annoying. I'll show you what I mean. Oh, there we go. All right, Betty, I've got the heater cover on. There we go. Can you brush me down? Obviously it's in an awkward spot, needs to be moved. Now, under here, we've got some pickups and some taps for the water tanks. The problem is here, this gets filled with rocks, like chock-a-block with rocks, and obviously the rocks have damaged my pipe here, and I've had this happen before on my van and other makes of van as well. But so a little bit extra protection on this I think is required. So that's not really ideal or perfect, and it's not uncommon, especially if you see the amount of rocks up in there. Well, let's have a look on the inside. So what's not perfect on the inside? There's only a couple of things. One, the lights. The lights are good quality, there's no question about that. But on the outside, you have a light that can be, you know, orange, half white, or white. And I think on the inside of the van, it's nice to have lights, but if you're getting up early before your partner or whatever, you don't necessarily want spotlights on. So I think multicolour lights or dimmable actually is easy these days with LEDs. I think that would be much, much better. The blinds, definitely not unique to AOR. A lot of van manufacturers use these now, and they're good. They're block-out blinds, and you've got a fly screen and all that. The problem is that they often will run loose on the roller, and then they'll come out of the track, and you've got to put it back in the track and mess around with it a bit. So it's just not ideal. But I don't know how they fix that. Most vans, they're running this, and they are good, but it's just a little bit annoying. Okay, shelving. Right, I've got something to put on this shelf. Let's do this. So you've got a little bit of shelf space there, and you got up there, but that's unusable when you're traveling. But you got this shelf space there. Now think about working on boats, and this is a bit the same. It's rocking and rolling all over the place. When you're on boats, all boats are made with a lip across here, right? A lip or a bungee, something. And really, that's what it needs, because you just can't utilize the shelves. You can't even put tissues on there, because as soon as you go, they just falls off. Easy fix. The other thing I would do is I would extend this shelf around to here, you know, like this, with lips on it. That's going to give you a lot more storage to plonk stuff in and leave it there. Same here. I would either have a bungee across here, or a shelf with a lip on it that I can put stuff in and leave it there, and not have to, you know, this I put in the sink and that bounces around and whatever. Put my coffee in the drawer. But if I had a little shelf, a bungee, I could just put that there and that'd be problem solved. So that's kind of what's not perfect and what I don't love. All right, now I'm going to tell you what I do like and what I think is close to perfect. You can't really get that. But what I love about it. First of all, I do love the awning, but I also kind of hate it. It's annoying, but it's a really good awning. The reason I don't like it is, on one part, you've got to do it in a very specific order. So learn the order, because if you don't, it gets jammed up, or the legs won't work and it gets stuck, or your door hits it. And again, this is not a problem with just AORs, this is across the board, you know. The door hits it, might damage it, or whatever. But I do love how easy it is to, you know, bring out, and then I can fold these up and lift it up, and I don't need pegs or poles or anything. You know, I do love that about the awning. I love the quick setup. The quick setup of the kitchen is amazing, and the quick setup of that works really well. Connect your gas on. Your kitchen set up, your water pump's on, hot water's on, gas is on, and you're good to go. And I'll pull this out. You've got great storage here and a nice big fridge freezer. So the quick setup of all that is great. The multicoloured lights on the outside are really important these days, especially in the tropics or anywhere you've got lots of bugs. So I like those. But it's lighter and stronger, which is great. Thanks to the new construction, all the aluminium pieces that are on it now. I particularly love the wrap. I think the vinyl wrap is a real game changer. It's a winner for sure. If it gets a deep scratch in it, you can even heat it up and it'll sort of close up, or if you need to replace it, it's not a full paint job. It's just to peel off, prep, and then stick the new stuff on. So I think the vinyl wrap is a real big winner. These windows, you can see how much trees and stuff I've scratched all these with, but as a matter of fact, once you start giving these a clean and a polish, they'll come up really good. I love how quick it is and easy it is to drain the black water and grey water and all that sort of stuff. You know, turning the gas on, the heater switch is already on, you got hot water straight away, outside, inside. So all those things I really like. Another thing on my way in, I really love the pantry. This outdoor pantry, I mean, you can fit so much stuff in here, it's actually ridiculous. It goes behind here a bit, and that's a really good feature. I like that. Okay, inside. There's nothing more important than a good night's sleep. I don't know what mattress this is in here, but it is good quality mattress. Amazing, queen size bed. It is as good as home, or better than a lot of people, our customers say, but it is a super nice comfy bed. So I absolutely love the bed. I love the power outlets all over the place. That's really good. The chairs, super comfy to lounge in. You can lay back, you can stretch out on them. They're really good. Obviously the drawers, I think I mentioned already, they're incredible drawers, how strong these things are and the punishment that they took, you know, from us. The toilet and shower. I mean, for me, it's almost like being at home. I wake up in the morning, I have this pre-filled, I have it turned on in the plug, and in the morning I grab the Red Arc app, turn the inverter on, that just starts boiling while I'm in bed. I mean, it's just awesome. I get up, make a coffee, got the loo there, can have a hot shower. unreal. The water capacity is really good. The water capacity is really good. Holds, I think it's 140 and 80, so I think it's 220 litres of clean water. And I can run, we could, last trip we commercially cooked out of the van for 15 people. So there's a lot of dishes, water. I showered every day. I've only used the toilet. So we're testing these things out as you would, like how liberal can you be with them. So you can be pretty liberal, got to use a bit of common sense, but the water capacity is good and it lasts a long time. The other thing, two things in here, the red arc, red vision. So it's all red arc controlled. All red arc controlled, and that's Bluetooth to your phone. You can turn everything on, off, whatever. Probably one of my real favorite things is this little hole here, which is attached to the diesel heater. Now that diesel heater, my calculations, has got about a 10 litre tank on it. I can use it every night, all night, for 8 nights, and still have diesel left in there. It's incredibly efficient and so warm. I absolutely love it. Get out of bed, the diesel heater's already on. I just turn it up a bit, kettle's on, got the loo there, unreal. Under here also is the hot water system. It's a little storage tank system, but really efficient, works really well. I'll just, one thing with the toilet. So the toilet, awesome. Alright, sometimes it takes more than one flush. Maybe it takes a few flushes. But it doesn't seem to use that much water, even when you do have to do a few flushes. So it hasn't concerned me. I've been using it for the last 2 months. I've just always used it, and the water tank that it's plumbed to is the 80, so you leave that off your main tank and just use it, and it lasts for ages. Even now I've switched over to the 80 because my front tank's running out. So the toilet, awesome. Does take a few flushes, but don't be worried about that. The Sirocco fan in there, good quality fan. Most of the high-end vans are running the Sirocco fans, and they're really good. So there you go. That's pretty much it. That's what I love about it. That's what's kind of perfect. You can't ask for more than that, really. Oh, it's so nice in there. Alrighto, so what would I add or change or opt for? Let's call this the Mooney's Expedition Edition Quantum. This is what I'd do. It comes standard with 200 amp hours of lithium, awesome. I'd get a little bit more, 300, maybe 400. I would up the inverter from a 1000 standard to a 2000 watt inverter. You know, you don't have cooking inside, but you can boil kettles. You could run an induction cooktop in there, one that moves around, portable or whatever. So running a few more bigger batteries and also the bigger inverter, I think is key. The deflectors I mentioned to you on the awning, the gas covers and any exposed bits like the 240 volt outlet there, I'd put deflectors on those. I would be upgrading the tyres, so they put the Cooper Discoverer ATs on there, fine, but for me, I'd opt up and get the STs, the Cooper STs put on. I'd 100% get my little cables with quick releases here, because quite often you don't want to pull that out. Like for me, for example, I've got my kettle in there, I boil me water and I come out here and I've got nowhere to put me coffee. But if you had a little table, if this was a table, that is, well, I can tell you from experience, it's very, very handy. So I would be opting to get those made into tables. I'd like to see the legs, that leg be able to fold it back. I'd like to see some sort of mud flaps on them. The dust isn't too bad, but it's the mud that really blocks those legs up. And we have a client that's put rubber flaps in front of them, and particularly for mud, that really helps. Yeah, I'd get the multicolor or dimmable lights on the inside. I'd get some extra stone protection on the water pipes that I showed you there to keep those protected. I would also put a bit of an awning protection, or they maybe give you some repair tape for it, but I'd get some like Kevlar stick-on material, and when it's rolled right up, I'd put it on the outside of the awning because trees brush along it and all that. And if it just had a little canvas, you know, it could be Velcroed on there or whatever, or tape, then that would just protect the awning a bit. Definitely a firewood rack. You can get these from AOR. They put them on the front there so you can carry your firewood and all that sort of thing. One thing I would love, now on the diesel heater, oh, let's go have a look at it. This is great, this is a good example. So this is the diesel heater tank, and you can see here, just a manual gauge, it's just a pipe, shows you how much diesel's left in it. Now we've been out here for 8 nights, and it's still got half in there. I've used it every night. I would love to see a simple basic gauge like that on the water tank somehow, because the gauges on the water tank, you've got them, but, and again, this is not an AOR thing, this is really across the board. You know, it's full for like 5-6 days. All of a sudden it goes half empty on the gauge. So they're a bit of a guide, but having something like that, I reckon would be awesome.
Yeah.
In summary, the Quantum has always been and remains to be a tried, tested and proven product that AOR have spent a lot of money on designing and testing. I think giving it to someone like me and really putting this amount of Ks on it in such a short period of time over the toughest terrain and really pushing things to the limit, you know, even my 900 watt kettle off the Red Arc in 1000 watt inverter, I mean, that's really pushing the friendship of that stuff. They're an incredible van. Nothing's perfect, and you're not going to find the perfect van, but for what I do, this comes pretty close. And would I invest in one? You betcha. They're very, very, very good, and I just love the little bit of luxury that you get with it, with its off-road ability, its reliability, and that's the reason we allow them to come, guests to bring them on these sort of trips. So, bloody great van. One thing I forgot to mention about my Expedition Edition is I would get an extra fan on the inside. I also get a fan bracket on the outside, so the fan can blow above the kitchen onto you in the tropics where it's hot, and also over your food where there's lots of flies. So more fans. Yeah.